God's country, it really is. I'm Howard Kaloogian. I'm chairman of the Our Country Deserves Better PAC, and we sponsor the Tea Party Express. Sal Russo and I are co-founders of the Tea Party Express. I was a California State Assemblyman, and I chaired the recall of Gray Davis before we got moved on to the national scene. So there's some political power behind the Tea Party movement across the nation because you fuel it, because you recognize that this election, we determine the course of the future for our nation. What type of a country will we be? Are we going to be a nation of parasites, or are we going to be a nation of limited government where we're able to achieve as God gives us the power? That's the question before us. And yet Obama's domestic policies are all a failure. And he blames Bush. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, haven't you grown tired of hearing the never-ending gripe that it's all Bush's fault about what Obama has inherited? You know, now he's blaming his failed foreign policy on a YouTube video. Please. It's embarrassing to have a president whose greatest quality is his ability to blame others. Speaking of embarrassing presidents, Bill Clinton said at the Democrat National Convention that he was going to tell us the truth. It was so bad under President Bush, no president, not even Bill Clinton, could have fixed it in 4 years. How arrogant. You know, Bill Clinton, let me just remind you, he is a convicted perjurer. He was disbarred from practicing law because he lied so much. He isn't even ethical enough to retain a law license. Well, he lied again when he claimed nobody could fix it in 4 years because, in fact, the truth is, every president fixed it in that short a time period. Do you remember Jimmy Carter's first term? You know, in Jimmy Carter's first term, it was worse than it was now. We had double-digit unemployment, double-digit inflation, double-digit interest rates, and Ronald Reagan turned it around in less than 4 years. He eliminated the gas lines, he created over 20 million jobs, and he created a booming growth economy that lasted a generation. That's what we should have now. Well, recessions happen, so just get over it already. In the past 75 years, recessions have averaged about 10 months. The longest lasted 16 months. This last recession started 57 months ago. That's plenty of time to fix it, no matter how bad it was. Well, we should be having very strong growth at this point. But it takes the right policy, not just clever slogans. So what are the slogans of this campaign? Well, Obama's gone through a few of them. He said there was winning the future, and then he had it's a fair shot. That one didn't last too long. And America built to last. We can't wait was another one, and we can't for another 45 days. Building the economy from the middle out. What does that mean? And then the basic theme of his convention speech, things could be worse. Imagine asking the nation for 4 more years of things could be worse. Well, let's just move forward. January 1, Obamacare is going to unleash 12 new taxes on the country that's going to impact people making $250,000 or less. And Obamacare used Medicare, robbing the Medicare piggy bank of $716 billion to pay for his new entitlement program. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to repeal Obamacare, and Bobby Schilling will get that job done in Congress. What else is in Obama's record? Well, there was QE1 and that failed, so we had QE2 and that apparently failed, so now we have QE3. Any guesses as to what it might do? It's probably not going to work either. Deficits have averaged $1.3 million annually. Over 1 million fewer payroll jobs than when Obama took office. The smallest workforce participation since the 90s. 23 million people are hurting as being either unemployed, underemployed, or just plump stopped looking for work. Household income has dropped during Obama's recovery $4,000 annually. And we lost, on average, 40% of our wealth. Gas has doubled in price. What about the future? Obama said that his most important policy moving forward into a second term is going to be climate change. So that means that he wants to implement cap and trade. And if he can't get it through Congress, he's going to use the EPA to terrorize us and to actually implement it through executive orders. And how high do you think gas will go then? Earlier this week, Alpha Natural Resources announced that they're eliminating 1,200 jobs, closing 8 mines in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. The company cited Obama's regulatory environment and said, quote, "It's already aggressively aimed at constraining the use of coal." In other words, that's fancy for, he's trying to put the coal industry out of business. Well, the CBO projects that under Obama's current course, the economy will return to recession next year, and we're going to have unemployment above 9%. And Bill Clinton told you, this is the best that can be done. Really? Is this the best America can do? No. Well, Obama's greatest problem, you see, is that he really thinks economic growth can be ordered up by central planners. Tax more of you, spend more on them, regulate here, subsidize there, and voila, prosperity will flow. It's never worked anywhere in the world. It's not working now here, and it won't work in the future. His own best case, his projection, shows that government spending is going to soar to 140% of spending. That's if he gets his tax increases and he gets to implement all of his plan, 140% of GDP. And America becomes Greece in 18 years. Obama said the private sector is doing just fine. Does it feel like that? You see, he thinks that government workers are the ones that are hurting. This isn't just a gaffe, ladies and gentlemen. This reveals how Obama thinks. He views government as the critical source for economic vitality in America. That's why the core of his jobs program consists of more spending, more government projects, and more bailouts to local and state governments. A vote for Obama is a vote for more debt, more tax, more spending, more deficits, more borrowing, until we find ourselves living in some American version of Europe with limited growth, high permanent unemployment, and Obama's blame, shame, and complain speech-making. Either expand the government and its control over our lives, or expand your freedom. It seems to me as if that's where the two sides come down on every issue, every time. Government controls your life, or you control your life. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's vote for limited government and provide for growth for the private sector, candidates that give us freedom, prosperity, and happiness. Vote for Romney, Ryan, and Bobby Schilling for the United States Congress. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful thing to be here in New York.